Welcome back to video number 4 in this series called Start with 1. And essentially, I'm just taking you through not knowing anything about HTML or how to build a website or how to build even a web page. And I'm just going straight through from the very bare bones of how the web works to we're going to put a website online that's going to have like a personal profile page that you can control, that is outside of places like Facebook or LinkedIn, where you do have profile pages, but those are being created and put on someone else's servers. But this would be a website that you create. It has your information. You can change it however and whenever you want to, and you get to control where that goes and how it gets hosted and what URL it goes to the information. So far we have created our HTML structure, and if you're just getting in, there's a video number 1, so I encourage you to go back to video number 1 and just sort of work your way through the series and how we got to this point. You might be a little lost because I'm sort of removing some of the things that I've talked about before, so you might miss something if you don't go all the way through it. In this video I want to cover, we've done headings. So this over here, this code is being output here to my browser. So we've done a heading, and we have all of our different paragraphs here. We have 3 paragraphs, but there are other elements that we can put into a website, web page, and some of these elements are totally unique compared to what you can do in just a document like a Google Docs or a Word document. It's similar terminology, similar ideas, but not exactly the same. So the first thing that I wanted to show you is lists. So people love lists. We use lists for all kinds of things in web design, and a major thing is as a list. But we also use lists to create menus. We use lists to create sections where we can later hyperlink them and go off to another page or another part of the website. So the most common list is the unordered list, which means it's just a bullet list. So the way we do that is we put our less than sign, and then we say UL, and then a greater than sign. And remember, we need to close out our tag, so we do the /UL, and then anything inside of here is going to be part of our unordered list. And in order to, I can show you. So I saved it, and I'm looking over here and there's nothing there, right? And that's because we need to create list items. So inside of our unordered list, we create a list item, and we do that with the tag li, and then we need to close that tag. And let's say we want to have three list items. So I'm just going to copy that and go down and paste, and let's just get our indentation right. So now inside of our unordered list, we have 3 list items, and then anything inside this is going to show up as a list item over here. So let's just do item 1, and then item 2, and then item 3. So I'm going to save that, Control S, and I'm going to refresh, and now you can see we have an unordered list, and each of our list items is listed here. Now the really cool part about unordered and ordered lists is that we can nest them. So just like you do inside of a Word document or a word processing document, you can actually put a list inside of a list. So we come here and we say our list item, and if we save that and we refresh, you can see that now we have a sub item, and you can keep doing that down the line, putting another sub item inside of our list item. So we would come down here like this, and inside the list item we'll just copy and paste our sub items. So now you have a sub item. You do control save or control S, and then now you have another sub item. So you can sort of make your way down through the list, and as you get along you can actually change these bullets and how you want them to be, but we're just focusing sort of on the basic syntax right now. So you can see that there is a list item, and inside that list item is another sub item, and then inside of that sub item there's a sub item. And this could be a list of 100 things, it could be a list of 10 things, one thing, however many you want it to be, and then it would just display those on the page. So that is how we would work with sub items. So anytime you've ever used maybe a menu where you roll over something and then it comes down when you roll over it, or when you click it and there becomes a sub menu there, they're using a submenu structure similar to that. So let's just save, and we'll just bring that back to our top level 3 items. And let's go ahead and copy this. You're going to do a lot of copying and pasting in HTML and CSS. Let's get these on the same level here. And we can also create ordered lists. Now an ordered list actually has the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And so the way that we do that is we just change that UL to an OL, standing for ordered list, and we make sure we close it. List item, nothing changes. It's just the type of list that changes. So let's save that, and we refresh, and now we have our ordered list of items. So 1, 2, 3, and if it continued on, it would continue on. Just like before, you can create sublists. So let's come in like this, and we'll sort of do our tabs over. And if we save that, you can see now that inside of item 1 there's a sublist of items as well. You could also change this to an unordered list, so if you did not need those items to have the 1, 2, 3, I've saved it, and then now you can see that we use an unordered list inside of an ordered list. So there's lots of different variations that you could do this whenever you're listing things and creating lists of things. A lot of times when you see lists online, the HTML is written this way, but they've removed through the CSS they've removed some of these artifacts and things like that, so you don't always see them when people are using them, but lists are used quite a lot in modern web development. So let's just go and we'll remove the sublist, hit save and refresh, and then now we have our 2 different types of sublists. We've covered paragraphs, we've covered headings, we've covered lists, and let's go ahead and cover links. Now a link it's called a hypertext link, and it's really a hypertext reference. So it's something you click that references another page or another part of the page. So let's just go in and we can turn any of this text, the plain text, we can turn any of it into a link. I'm going to show you first how to just sort of put in a link. So let's say something like let's make this hello world a link. I'm just trying to think about how to do this. And the structure for the link is like this. I'm just going to show you out here. So the structure is, it's called an A tag, and that stands for an anchor tag. And what it does is it has a special attribute inside. So our HTML tags They have sort of the base, this is what it is. They can also have other attributes inside, and each one sort of has its own special attributes. They're sort of like special superpowers that each one has. And the A tag, the anchor tag, has the ability to link off to another page anywhere on the web. It can be this website, or it can be any other website. So we use the href, and then we say equals, and then you use two double quotes. You can use double quotes or single quotes, either one. But if you want to put single quotes inside the double quotes, that will work, but you can't put single quotes inside of single quotes. So if you have something like this, then that would not work inside of another set of single quotes. So sort of safer, because we don't really use double quotes for very much. So it's sort of safer to just do your attributes with double quotes in case you need to put an apostrophe or something like that inside. And so the H reference, the hypertext reference that we want to put in here is going to be a URL to somewhere. So you could use google.com, or you could get the full URL, which is https and then 2 forward slashes and then google.com. An easy way to get that is to just go in your browser to Google or whatever the URL is, and when you click on the when you click on the bar, the URL address bar here, you can simply copy what's there, and then you would just Control V, you paste that in there. So whatever you get from this bar up here, when you copy it, it's going to be the correct address, and you can just put that there. Excuse me. So this is the proper structure for a link, and then whatever we put in the middle of here, in between these two tags, that's what's going to get linked. So that's where you see the little blue lines for the links on the web. This is the text that shows, but this is actually where, when you click that link, it goes. So we could put that text on any of these things in between them, in between this tag right here, and when you clicked on sitting by her sister on the bank, that would take you to Google. So you can see where what you put here needs to make sense with where you're sending people to. So that's sort of a big part of this thing. So we're just going to use a well-known URL. It doesn't make any sense for Hello World to go there, but I want you to see just how it works in action. So this is the text that we want to put the anchor link around. So we'll just put our ending tag right there, and you can put those tags inside of other tags, right? We could write it like that, or we could write it like this, where there's actually some spaces between them. And let's get rid of this because we don't need that. So now you can see clearly that the anchor tag is inside of your H1, right? So what's going to happen is this hello world is going to take this link, but the link doesn't really have any styling to it. All it does is it gives you the blue color and it underlines it, and then it also gives you the ability, when you click it, to go to a new page. The H1 gives this hello world some style. You see that it's bigger and it's bold and things like that. So it's not getting any style from the A link except for the underline and the color, and then the H1 is giving it sort of its typographic style. So let's save this and then we'll come and refresh, and now you can see that hello world is underlined. Let's try to open this again. What happens is that shows you what it looks like whenever it's purple because I've already clicked on that link. It's remembering it. If we open this in the incognito mode, maybe it'll show you. Okay, so that's the familiar blue that we're accustomed to. It's showing like this because somewhere along the way it's remembering that I've clicked that link, but here it's not remembering it. So it doesn't save anything in incognito mode. So here's the familiar blue that we're accustomed to with links. You can see that it, on the white background with the black text, it really sticks out, and that's the point of the links, is for them to be able to stick out. So when we click this, you can see down in the bottom, down here, at the bottom corner of the browser window, you see it says google.com. So if you hover over that, it should tell you what is in this ahref value. So when we click it, it's a link to google.com. And so this is how hyperlinks work on the internet. So this is underlying all those links that you're clicking. It just tells you where you're supposed to go. So this could be anything. You could just as easily do this to Facebook or to another page on this website. Let's say you had a contact page, then you would simply write contact.html, and that lets the browser know that contact.html is somewhere. Let's say this was my name, brianhaferkamp.com. This lets it know that contact.html is found at brianhaferkamp.com/contact.html, and this would be /index.html. Or often, if it's at the root, then it doesn't give you the index.html. It sort of lops that off for the home page. That's something that the browser handles, and not something you necessarily have to do all the time. So this is creating a link. So let's just go back to the Google instance here, and then we'll refresh. So now we have a link, and like I said, you can take this link and you can make it over as many words or as few words as you want. So that if we put it here and we want it to be essentially this whole paragraph, we would close out our link, save it, and then refresh, and you can see that our link includes all of this. So whatever is in between this tag and this tag is going to be hyperlinked. So that's not common to do a whole paragraph like that, but if that was something that you wanted to do, you could. You can actually put a link around the entire you can put it around the entire paragraph as well. So if we put it here and then we say /a, so now we put it in around the entire paragraph. I save and come over here, and now you can see the entire paragraph is clickable. Even this spot of white over here is clickable. So the whole text. Okay. So that is how links work, and we've also covered unordered lists. And then in the next video, I'll show you how to include images into into our document, and we're sort of working our way up to including our own information for ourselves, like a little bio about who we are and different things about ourselves, so that you could create your own profile page to put on the internet wherever you want to put it. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down in the comment section below. I'm happy to get to them and answer any questions that you have. Some of the questions might be answered if you just go back to videos 1 through 4, or if you continue to watch on, some of your questions might actually be answered later on as we continue to learn more about HTML, and then eventually about CSS and how to style the text and the images that we've got on the page. And even the links, we can actually style the links too with color and types of underlines and stuff like that. So there's a lot to learn, and we're almost through a lot of the basics of HTML. So if you made it this far, you're doing pretty good. And at this point, I think you can make a pretty decent page. You could take a research paper and you could probably put it online just with what you know at this point, which is what the web was made for. So just a little background and sort of how far you are in this process if you've watched the first several videos. Alright, so the next video we're going to cover HTML images and how to put images into our documents.